Look close, don't fold. We follow the facts where they never go. Crithink TV, question everything. Crithink TV, let the truth sing. Crithink TV, open your mind, question everything, leave nothing by.
Hello everyone, welcome to Crithink TV, where we question everything. So, in this video, I'm going to be talking about the question that I was asked by a Muslim recently and my answer to that question. Stay tuned. So, what happened? A few days ago, as my usual way of posting teasers on Facebook, I posted a teaser and I said, what is the essence of believing in God when I am more intelligent than those who created God? Think. Good morning, my people. So, first of all, what do I mean by this? I'm saying, why should I believe in God, when I already know the reason why God was created, and those who created the idea of God, I already am ahead of them. I know the reason why they created God. You see that? I know the history. I understand. I've seen, why they created God. Reality has showed us why they created the idea of God. You see that? And there's no proof whatsoever. There's no evidence of the so-called gods that they claim exist. From the God of the Jews to the God of the Christians, to the God of the Muslims, to the God of the Buddhists, and every other God, even local gods around our community and all that. The reasons why these gods were created. Having known the reason, having known why all of this happened, all right, because there was a gap in human knowledge. And because these people didn't know better at that time, for instance, when earthquakes happened, when natural disasters happened, when people died of unknown illnesses or diseases or sicknesses, they were confused. What is going on? Why is this happening? Why are people dying of this sickness or this disease or this problem and all that? They couldn't find a way out. They couldn't find a solution. They didn't know what to do at that time. So they had to fill the gap. Somebody had to fill in the gap. And what they filled the gap with was what appealed to their emotions, right? What they feel could be the reason. And then they explained it away that one God somewhere was responsible for all the disasters that were happening. And they needed to do certain sacrifices. They needed to do certain things, all right? So they built rituals. They built a whole lot of things, worship and all that around this gap. This gap, this God or these gods that are built into this gap, we call them the God of the gaps, all right? The God of the gaps. So they plugged something into these gaps, which I already know because I studied the origin of the gods of the Jews, the origin of the God of the Christians, the origin of the God of the Muslims and the Buddhists and all that. So for years, I took my time to study all of this. And I've come to understand that, this is the reason why these people, primitive people, why they plugged in these gaps, these gods. All right, because they didn't know better. So today I know better. I know the reason why diseases come, for instance, why I get malaria, why people have liver failure, kidney failure, why earthquakes happen. You see that? What causes earthquakes and all that. We know all of these things. We now know that there's no God or any deity that is causing all of these things. These are natural processes that take place because of how the earth evolved or how the earth, formed, how the universe formed and all that. We've not known beyond that point, right? To know exactly where everything, came from. We cannot answer that question. And the funny thing, because a particular God of the gaps has been plugged into it, those who believe in that idea, in a particular idea or a particular God of the gaps, they think they have more knowledge than you. That thing that has been plugged into it, they believe that they know more than you. For instance, the Muslim came under my comment and was arguing with me and asked me, who created you? And I told him, nobody created me. And he was like, shocked, like, why would you say that? And these people get angry, like, you should believe in what I believe. And I'm like, no, I cannot believe in what you believe because I know what you believe is not true. It's against reality. It's against common sense. It's against common understanding. Very simple things that you can't understand. But because of fear of the unknown, you close your mind and you don't want to understand. You don't want to look beyond what you have been taught from childhood. What has been plugged into your mind to fill that gap for you. You're supposed to leave that gap open until you find an answer. And that is one problem with humanity. We get to a point where, because we've not been able to know the reason for a particular thing, we just plug in something. And that's what leads to superstitions. That's what leads to even witch hunt. We plug in something, maybe you'll be trying to do something, you're not successful at it for a long time. You get fed up. To you, you've done everything you should do. But there are certain things you may not have known to do that you did not do. But we look for excuses. We look for something to blame, somebody to blame. You see that? And then we have to plug in something. We have to plug in a belief. We have to plug in something. And then the God of the gap is plugged in. Now, let's go back to what the question he asked me, who created you? I said, nobody created me. And then he said, okay, who created your father and your? I said, my mother gave birth to me. My father and my mother came together and they gave birth to me. He asked me, because this idea of creation, that everything must be created, something, because we create laptops, we create things. So we were also created because we have ability to create. Somebody gave us that ability. Then when you ask them, who gave that person that ability to create us? And they confused. They say, oh, that one is not created. Oh, so we are the ones to be created. That one, that God of the gap is not created. So I said, my mother and my father came together and they gave birth to me. Nobody created me. And he was like, oh, so who gave birth to your father and your mother? I said, their own father and mother gave birth to them also, because I knew my grandparents. And it was like, okay, who created those ones? Who created the ones that created those ones? And I'm like, dude, you're asking me like right? You don't know and I don't know. We should be sincere enough to admit and then find out. Until we find out, we have to leave it open. You don't have to plug in anything. All right? Because why do they plug in all of this? It's because some people feel they want to be superior to other persons to be able to control them. And you control people with what they don't know that you know, right? So when you make them feel like they don't know something and you know it, and you are able to convince them to believe that you know the truth or you know something, then they begin to follow you. Because humans are highly emotional beings. Most of humans, they just act on how they feel and not what they think. That is the reason why critical thinking is very important. That's one of the reasons why this TV, Crithink TV, was born. All right. Let me not get distracted too much. Let me go back to the conversation I had with him. So when I said my parents, nobody created them. Their own parents gave birth to them. It went on and all that till the point we don't know. All right. So he now said, so did you fall from up or did you grow from the ground? And why do people die? Don't you think there's something or someone controlling everything, like controlling the whole world, controlling everything? And I'm like, okay. For me, I am sincere enough to admit that I do not know how everything came to be, right? And that is where even science came from. I don't know. Can we find out? And then people started experimenting, testing different things, checking and all that. And then they found out certain things. Science has helped us to the point where we understand that we were not created by one God sitting somewhere and conjuring things, that we evolved from the simplest of life forms. But how we evolved from those simple life forms, how they evolved, we do not know yet, right? We do not know how those life forms evolved.
Look close, don't fold. We follow the facts where they never go.